Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve. Today is a glorious day because it's the initial release of my Graphics Overhaul mod for Dark Souls Remastered. I finally put it out. Well, the initial release, so it's not done yet, but and I also called it the Graphics Overhaul because I forgot that there was already like two different visual overhaul mods. I feel like that would just be way too confusing, so I just called it the Graphics Overhaul. DSR Graphics Overhaul. Link will be in the description, and so I thought I would just show a little bit more of my work and kind of talk through it. So this is Sen's Fortress, and you'll notice the really cool thing is look at the dynamic shadows of the axes swinging. It's so cool. That's probably one of the coolest. It's very unexpected too, because like the roof is open up there. Now you'll notice the actual arches, there's a weird behavior they're having where they're a little too dark. So I do have to look at that. But as I mentioned in the mod description, this is a very buggy release, but I felt it better to get something out and get feedback on it, and then I could fix issues as they come up. But yeah, I honestly thought Sen's Fortress looked way better than I thought. I honestly wasn't even going to touch it because I was like, oh, that's mostly indoors, right? Well, I forgot that there's the ceiling piece. So the ceiling being open. So it actually looks awesome. It looks so cool with those dynamic shadows. But let me get through the other part of Sen's Fortress. Oh, bitch. Oh, no. Okay, I'm stressed. No! No! Damn it. I was going to go to the other part of Sen's Fortress, but now that I think about it, I'm like, that's fine. Let me show something else. We're now in Undead Parish. I totally planned that. That's the last place that I sat. So just this morning when I was preparing the mod release, I actually stripped out the baked shadows from this bridge only because I noticed that they didn't look that good, honestly. Also, I'm realizing the enemies are not on the ground. That's not my doing, I promise you that. I believe they just placed them a little bit too high. Shocker. Yeah, let's go this way. And this is kind of my favorite spot in the whole mod. I did, obviously a comparison shot here because this is where you can really see all of the new foliage shadows that were not there present. Dude, really? You're gonna like fucking snipe me? I don't think I've ever had him shoot me from over there, but okay. And then the moss on the building over here, I do kind of need to edit that moss. We'll see if I can lower it. Because, yeah, they clearly put it a little bit too high. But it's not going to be perfect. You can see it's moving with the wind a little bit, which is nice. But, yeah, new shadows there. Also, these people are just pissing me off. I'm going to go kill them. Let's just go kill them real quick. Alright. Dude. Looking at it, okay? And then you'll see from here, the dynamic shadows, I think, look pretty awesome. There's a little flickering going on near the Duke's archives. So that's kind of your classic distant geometry issue. Oh my god. I was like, what the hell is going on with my lighting? But yeah, so we're under the bridge. Let's go here. Whoop. Alrighty. We got a little bit more Undead Burg action, because I'm particularly proud of Undead Burg, I think. Like a lot more of it is now correctly shadowed from larger objects. And then, obviously you'll still have the brighter portions. Love to see, hey. Trying to look over there if that looks odd to me. I might need to look into that. There's a distant geometry thing going on. There's like the big wall here, then there's the castle, but like what's in the middle here? I don't know. I think that's Firelink Shrine over here. Yes, you'll see in the distance there that the distant things look a little strange. I think they're fog IDs. I haven't changed yet. So there's things like that it's just a very touchy game to mod, and you're gonna break like 10 things every time you change something, so But out here it looks so good because it's so sunny. Okay, fuck off. And then these bricks have shadows now. Like, oh my gosh, Undead Burg just looks so much better. Of course, I think the game looked fucking awesome to begin with. Don't get me wrong, it obviously did. But, you know, if I could do a little bit here and there to help out. Also, you can tell there's a transition here where the lighting changes. I'll have to look at that. It's all in the collisions, like when your character steps their foot on something, it activates rendering another object, because these are two separate maps that are tied together by that tunnel being placed strategically. But yeah, over here, I actually noticed when I was doing the comparison shots that I actually had altered essentially the tone mapping, like color grading of this area a little bit. I didn't mean to. It was not my intent. I kind of like how it looks. I'll definitely interested to see what people in the comments say. In my stream yesterday, I did a drunk stream, which the VOD will not be up on the channel because it turns out game audio was like next to nothing. So it just was weird. And I'm like, nah. But it's on Twitch for the next like 2 weeks, I think, if you want to see it. I get to Ornstein and Smo. But yeah, now you'll see a shadow on the little opening here. We got our little Frampty friend, or Frank. But yeah, now you have a bunch of dynamic shadows hitting Firelink Shrine. You even have shadows being cast from the tree itself onto the buildings down here. So I think it's, you know, it's still going to be Firelink Shrine, right? But it just looks, personally, I think it looks a little bit better. Because now we have shadows under the tree. A lot of these, I think people just assumed, I think when they see that, that's what happens with a lot of my work, which is fine. I'm actually kind of, you know, honored by that. A lot of people are like, oh, that's just what I thought it always looked like, which is kind of the goal, right? Is I don't want to massively change it. But when you look side by side, you go, oh, wow, look at that. Okay, we got shadows. This is nice. And then here's our view of Undead Burg. All fogged up and whatnot. I can play around with the fog settings, but I think it's actually pretty appropriate that it's foggy. Down here is sort of one of those awkward transitions, but I have modified it to where the transition isn't nearly as noticeable. It used to be like a big flash, but now you're not flash banged, and it is darker in here, but I don't think it's like overly dark. I think it's manageable because you're just getting to the elevator. Although I do think it will kill more people when they forget to bring the elevator back up. That's definitely going to happen, which will be kind of funny. But yeah, down here, your player lantern is pretty good. I will be looking into modifying the player lantern for different areas because it's just so different in so many different areas. So there you can see like the opening out to the Drake's Pat? I'm completely spacing on whatever the hell that's called. Valley of the Drakes, my god. But yeah, you can see that New Londo Ruins is lit by the hole in the ceiling. I don't remember noticing that, but that's happened a lot where I just don't notice things that are in the vanilla game. But yeah, New Londo Ruins, I touched a little bit. I did make sure that everything is in the reflection for the water, which I think most of them already were, but I just made double, triple sure by going through the map pieces. And I think it looks really nice, actually. So you can still see the water, because I have lowered it. But had I not lowered it, like on a new character, the water would obviously be a lot higher. But yeah, I think so. New Londo looks pretty similar. I've also done the painted world. That ended up being, I do remember that I forgot to go back to change this before the mod release. Ugh. So the ghosts are weirdly harder to see. That must be down to one of the light settings that I changed. I need to go into their settings and probably make them a little bit brighter. Let me know what you think in the comments, but yeah, they seem pretty hard to see. I didn't really want to do like any like gameplay changes, even though I do understand that lighting changes are gameplay changes. Yeah, they do seem a little bit harder to see. Let me know if you think that's lore accurate. What would Vati think? Yeah, let's jump off into the water, because I've already gotten this Firekeeper soul. Whoop. Yoink. Where else to go? Oh, Anor Londo. I'll probably end it there. Yeah, Anor Londo looks pretty sick. People in the stream, yeah, they seem to like it. There's more issues in Anor Londo than any of the other issues or any other maps, but you know, it's legendary, so I feel like you should have to do that. Oh, I guess we could go back. That's true. Let me show you out here, and then we'll go back to Sin's Fortress from the people picking me up. But yes, you'll see it's still very bright in Anor Londo. I wanted to maintain that. I stripped out the baked lighting from these railings and the bridge down there, and a couple other areas, the boss room, because the baked lighting looked really bad. And so now this is all dynamic shadowing from the building, the sun hitting that, and then hitting that building as well. I think Duke's Archives, I haven't really messed with Duke's Archives up there. I've started work on the interior of Duke's Archives. That is early progress, but that's definitely something I'll be working on next. I like when the elevator comes up and then the shadow is maintained, which is nice. We then have, whoop, oh, I almost got it. I always try to make that jump. Doesn't quite work. But yeah, you'll see a nice little sun peering through here, which is delightful. I've also stripped out the baked lighting from this bridge because it was terrible looking. Now you'll see this is the error I'm talking about, or glitch, where you rotate the camera and it kind of freaks out with the shadows. So that I got to look into. I think most of the time if you're running this way, which is, you know, obviously the majority of the time, it looks perfectly fine. But yeah, we have dynamic shadows hitting here, hitting here. Anor Londo had a problem where the baked ones looked terrible, so I had to strip them out for most of them. Another issue with Anor Londo that I haven't really figured out is the darkness on the windows, since all of them are not real windows, generally from this side. And, you know, they're obviously not getting illumination from the sun because the sun is behind them. And I've messed with the shadow settings, shadow source, destination, yada yada, and they still just kind of look dark. And I need to look back at vanilla, honestly, to like, how dark were they there? What are we looking at? But I still think overall Anor Londo actually looks really quite good. I added shadows actually to like all of these buildings that normally, obviously, they're not accessible, but I thought they looked really cool. Oh, sorry, I'm getting my second cup of coffee. Ooh, do I notice? Oh, I noticed another issue. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, okay, so it's not, so it's kicking the enemy out of memory, and the lighting inside is changing, which basically means it's not rendering one of the map pieces that would block the light from hitting inside the building. So I know that one, because what it's doing is also the light that's hitting those fence pieces. Once you go up a certain amount, then the shadow source sets in. And that's why you can now see a shadow on this building over here where you cannot beforehand. It's different. So that's another issue where I need to set clearly the rendering, I can tell it to be like a 0, which means it renders it all the time, or at greater distance, essentially. So I need to do that. These are kind of the issues that you run into working on Anor Londo. It's just, there's just a lot of, because obviously this game has its roots. I mean, it is a PS3 and 360 game at heart, you know, no matter the remaster or not. Like that is just, as far as I can tell, they didn't really mess with any of the changes that I'm making. Obviously, Q-Lock, who did the remaster, they could have done all of these changes in terms of draw distance, dynamic shadows, if they wanted it to be the true like remaster, right? Then that is what you would do. You would unlock it from its origins on PS3 and 360. They chose not to, and I think that's a safe choice, because obviously they were shipping it on Switch, right? Okay, bitch. bitches. Okay, good. Oh, man. Oh, my God. I thought I was going to die there. But no, they were shipping it on Switch, so I do understand that they probably didn't want to have like two code bases, one for Switch, one for Xbox One and PS4. But it does seem like a missed opportunity. So you'll see the big shadow issues in the distance there. That's just the engine going, dude, I don't know what to do with those shadows. It's something, there's a depth offset setting that I'll try to toy with. It works in Demon Souls, but doesn't really seem to work that well in DSR modding. But yeah, basically a lot of the changes I think are just better lighting essentially and more shadows. And you know, I obviously wish that Q-Lock would have done more of this work or added extra graphic settings to enable a lot of these. But I'm also realizing from me doing it that it creates a lot of issues. And so I totally get why they were like, nah, let's just maintain what Prepare to Die did. And unfortunately, they also ripped out some things that Prepare to Die did better. Okay. You bitch ass. Oh yeah, I was going to go back to Sin's Fortress, that's right. Well, real quick, let me show the throne room. Oop, did he drop something? Ooh, Dragon Slayer area, let's see it. Alright, let's go in the throne room. I could just, you know, warp up, spin move. Oh, that was actually really close. So you can see here that the sun should not be shining in. I don't think. That's another issue I have to look into. But this is the ONS boss room with the baked shadows removed. And it does actually look a lot better. The baked shadows were actually just incorrect and too narrow on the pillars in some ways, and just kind of strange. You will see light leakage here. That is from basically the way that they're doing the meshes. It's a bit confusing. Oh shit, no. I know what I was gonna do. Hold on. Let me go up the big fat Smo elevator here, and then we're going to go back to the OG Anor Londo bonfire and then walk up the stairs to go back to Sin's Fortress, because that boss area, the Iron Golem boss area, looks really awesome. Also, these are the windows that are having sun coming through. Well, they're coming through the whole wall. So yeah, I'm looking into that. It's more complicated. If I set the wall to being an entire shadow source, basically none of the light will come in, and the boss room on the bottom won't have those great, wonderful looking shadows. So it's certainly one of the, you know, you take one good thing with one bad thing. But I'll find a duct tape solution. I've already come up with something that can try to block them and only be noticeable when you're inside. Whole thing. Anyway, let's go to Anor Londo and run back to Sin's Fortress, because Sin's Fortress, man, that thing really ended up being more of a showpiece than I thought it was. I thought Sin's Fortress was going to be no change at all. That was kind of my original plan with the dark areas and a lot of the interior things, is that, like, you know, I can't really, thus far, I haven't figured out any sort of dynamic light source for, like, the torches and things. That's just currently not an option. I'm assuming that's in the SFX files somehow, but we'll get there. But yeah, you'll see all the dynamic shadows being cast from the stairs. I might need to rip out the baked shadows, but in many areas they look just fine. Actually, yeah, this looks weird. There's another issue of, like, is this a one-way mesh or something? I don't know, I'll have to look at that. But yeah, this is incorrect. There's a giant shadow missing. But yeah, let's fly back. Oh, all right. We're back in Sin's Fortress, which honestly looks fucking awesome. I love the shadows that are hitting the ruined brickwork and stonework. It looks so good. And you have the draw distances are increased, but they're actually somewhat similar to vanilla in many ways. Yeah, see, there's my character on the pillar there, and I think you can even see my character move, the shadow move all the way down there, which is pretty cool. And you'll see a lot of the other areas. If I can go downstairs, because the shadows are being cast on everything. And before they didn't really have any shadows on a lot of them. They had the baked ones, of course. Ooh, yeah. I meant to go downstairs. Yeah, let me go downstairs. That's upstairs. Whoop. Gotcha, bitch. Okay, let's... so this area is a little bit darker because it's completely shaded by the larger buildings around it. Or wait, did I go the wrong way? Oh, okay. Me getting lost in Sin's Fortress is a wonder. But this one looks really great. This, you know, you're having the actual sun come through the stone railing here to create this just really beautiful, beautiful shadow. And so, yeah, I just think the game is looking so gorgeous right now. Loving it. I'm going to keep working on it, though, because there's going to be so many bugs that pop up, I'm sure, of things that I've had to tweak. And I'm just happy that people have their hands on it now. So I'm gonna end the video in this beautiful, beautiful spot with some good texture work, actually. I'm excited to look into upscaling the textures, because obviously you can see the bridge here looks pretty rough. I do want to upscale the textures. I'm just not sure, because it crashed for me the last time that I did like 30 gigabytes worth of texture upgrades, and then those went nowhere because the game just kept crashing. And so there's clearly some sort of texture memory limit, just like Demon Souls has. But the DSR 2020 texture pack like exists, but it's actually not a very big pack when you actually look at like the download size. It's so much smaller than like what my DS2 texture pack was, which was like 35 gigabytes. And I think DSR 2020 is like 5 gigabytes or less. I could be wrong on that, but I'm just like, okay, maybe they were smart and they found that out too, that they couldn't upscale all of them, or they did it on a case-by-case basis. I don't know. I have to look into that. But that was back in 2020, and AI upscaling has actually come a long way since then. And they used Escran, I don't know. They use that upscaler, which has some AI capabilities, but most of the time it's more of an old style upscaler, which does a really good job. But the tools have advanced. And if I can make a 2023 texture pack for DSR, I think it could look fucking awesome, especially compared with this. My plan is to have it as a separate listing underneath this graphics overhaul mod, so it's a separate download. You wouldn't have to download all at the same time. But yeah, I think that's my next thing, is to keep working on this mod, because I think this is going to be the most important and popular mod I'll have worked on, because I think Dark Souls 1 is specifically the most loved universally, I think, in the community. Just from being in the community for a while, that's the sense I get, is that DS2 is obviously, there's some detractors there, and there's a lot of people that love it. DS3 has a lot of people that love it, but there's a decent chunk that are like, it was a tribute band, or not really a tribute band, but like their greatest hits, you know? So I think DS1 has the most, like, the criticisms come down to the remaster. They don't really come down as much on the game itself. Of course, the second half gets a little half-baked in some areas, but, you know, we're used to that. But overall, I think it's the most beloved. So I'm excited to work on it, to continue to work on it. And if I can in any way make it more of an actual remaster, then I think I've done my job, right? Did it. Done it. Keep on doing it. Who we got in here? Oh, what's up, dog? Okay, let me talk to him real quick. What are you? Well, okay, first of all, I have Gwyn's sword, so I think I deserve some respect. Ooh, Baldur shield. Oh. He sells the Katarina. Ooh, he's got the full set of steel. I love the steel armor. And the Baldur? I don't think I've ever actually owned all of the Baldur armor. Well, duly noted, I might kill you. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to end it there. Thank you for watching. Go and download the mod if you want. It is officially out today. I called it, or it's the version 0.1, which is code for, dear God, it's not final. I'm still working on it. But yeah, it's gonna get better. I'm gonna fix bugs and different things. Color grading is certainly something I'm looking at. There's some areas that I did end up changing the colors because I changed the light IDs and the light scattering IDs on certain things to match up better with other parts in the same level. And by doing that, I actually modified some of the colors in some of the areas. So I'm going to keep looking at that. I'm open to feedback on obviously, what it looks like. I'm currently working on Lost Izalith as well. There's some weird color changes they did there. And so anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Praise the sun. Fear the old blood. Or maybe we like the old blood. The old blood is awesome. Okay, the Tumerians or whatever. It went well for them, right? They loved it, and nothing bad happened to them. They're jamming in the Chalice dungeons, or that's not them in the Chalice dungeons, right? They're all dead. But it was like a good death. I don't know where I'm going with this. Don't worry about it. Don't look at the lore video. don't don't fact check me on the Tumerians, all right? Anyway, thank you, and see you next time.